Alright, I want to take a closer look at xDesign and see some of the features that it has that SolidWorks does not offer, and some features that some CAD platforms don't offer at all that are unique to xDesign. So I have this sketch, and if I go to edit the sketch and change my view normal, and while I'm on that point, the old hotkeys of SolidWorks, control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are still relevant. So don't forget that when you go to model. But sketch fillets are kind of cool in this platform, because if I choose sketch fillet, you have the option of selecting one line and then sort of selecting a dimension. I'm going to go with 10 millimeters when you go to click the other line. And we lost some constraints there, but okay. And then I can click the point to have another same sized fillet. And of course it sort of forces you then to use the same size fillet after that. But another cool thing is I can click and drag and start drawing a line. And if I draw a line through these in the right way, I can start making my own fillets pretty quickly and easily. Look at that. So that was pretty quick and painless. Nice way to do some fillets, and just like in SolidWorks, you will occasionally lose some constraints or relations when you do a fillet, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. So we'll call that sketch good. And here's a few other features. Here I have two bodies, and if I want to do a fillet on these features, prior to, well, this, in SolidWorks or anywhere else, you would put fillets on one body and another body, right? But here, you can fillet multiple bodies at the same time. It's a very, very handy feature, because I'm doing more and more multi-body modeling in my career, especially for plastic parts. When you want to have a standard fillet be applied to a bunch of features for injection molding, that's a lot easier to do when you can do multiple bodies at once. Kind of a cool innovation. So next, why don't we take a look at how the sketching environment looks as a whole. If I create a sketch on my top plane, I'm going to start with the 3-point arc, and just like in SolidWorks, you can grab the center, and you have to hold the Shift key instead of the Control key, and we'll make that centered on the origin. We'll add in a vertical constraint. D is for dimension, D like delta. I can make that 60 millimeters, and this is actually something that I'm a little bit more excited about, because I think that's a much better use of the keyboard than what SolidWorks has had. Let's go with 25. I think I snapped on the midpoint by accident, just like I would have if it was SolidWorks. So we'll give that 25, and I can delete my driven dimension. That's another thing. SolidWorks always gives you a warning if you're about to insert a driven dimension. This just adds it. That's nice. Alright, 60, 25. I'm going to actually add a line here, and we're going to give this a 20-degree angle. So again, D for dimension, 20 degrees. Let's do the same here, and we'll add in a tangent. So this should look very similar to what SolidWorks is looking like. We'll add in another 3-point arc here. Again with the tangent. Alright, so I'm sketching out just the profile of a boomerang, returning boomerang. And I do the the SolidWorks double click, which if I double click here, it adds a little line. So that's one difference in xDesign. Double click to stop the line that you've just drawn. And that is going to wear on me for a while. So we're going to make this negative. I guess I can't. I was going to say we can make it a negative degree so that it would flip the other way, but I guess I'll manually do that. And add in negative 10 degrees here. That's strange. Negative, or 10 degrees, there we go. I think I put a negative in. We'll add in a concentric relation here. So the hotkeys, as far as I can tell, D is the one that I'm using. I didn't really use my left hand much when I learned on SolidWorks years ago, but when I started with FreeCAD and there's all these hotkeys like H for horizontal, V for vertical, T for tangent, E for equal, that grew on me, and now I use my left hand all the time, and I started to think that SolidWorks was left wanting some. So I think the D for dimension is a big improvement because I can do CAD two-handed a lot more. I think some of the other platforms, FreeCAD I think is actually the king of this, but Onshape also has very similar hotkeys that allow me to do things two-handed, and I can do it faster and more efficiently. And I haven't really taken that seriously until I started with FreeCAD, and I realized how much faster I can be. So that's my suggestion for the developers. I'm not seeing a way to customize hotkeys or anything right now, and I think that'd be a huge improvement. We'll add in another dimension here. We'll go with 132.995. That's about right. And where else are we not constrained? Right here. So that should finish us off. I'm going to go with 125, and this is in millimeters. And I don't like this radius actually. I think it's making us a bit too thin up top. Oh, and it seems like in this platform I have to delete things with dimensions with the leader and not by clicking on the dimension. And that's a habit I'm going to have a hard time getting in trouble with too. That looks a bit more realistic. So with sketches you can mirror. I just have to remember, there's our mirror. And of course it chooses the one line that I want to be my mirror line, but that's okay. Huh, that's interesting. It's not, there we go. So our mirror line is going to be here and there. Alright, perfect. So you choose your mirror line, your entities to mirror down here, all mirrored. So I'm going to leave that be for now, and let's talk about planes, because there are some cool innovations with planes as well. Features, plane. I choose this guy as a reference. And notice I have a 50 right here, location percent. So if I say 100, it goes to one side, 0 goes to another side. I can go 10%, 50%, 60%, whatever percentage down the length that I want to. That's something that I've never seen in another platform on how to draw planes. I'd be interested to know if anybody else has any way of doing it. So you can choose, just like in SolidWorks, a plane and its point. Now unfortunately, if I want to draw a plane that intersects these 2 points, that's not going to work. So I'm going to get rid of this line. We'll choose this point. And can I choose this line? Nope, get an error. This line, get an error. This arc, get an error. So I don't know if there's a way that I can choose a plane that is quite the way that I want it. So I'm going to instead, let's not give up on the planes because I think I still need to draw a plane. All right, we're going to choose a plane and a point. And I'm going to sketch on this plane. All right, we're going to choose vertical and done. All right, so I have this sort of redundant, strange sketch, but it gives me the point that I need. And then I'm going to hide my plane. Of course, Just by clicking on something, you have the option to hide something. And we're going to add in another plane, because now we have 3 points to define plane. And there we go, right? So there's some ways to define a plane like that. And then I can make kind of a arrow or a foil profile sketch. So we're going to create a new sketch. You can see it's pretty simple, just like SolidWorks. And we're going to go with this arc dimension. We're going to go with 12. We're going to go with horizontal down here. Of course, I have to hold the Shift key, not the Control key. Onshape is the same way. I think when you're in a browser, the Control key has to be used for other stuff. So we've got a 90-degree arc there. We're going to go horizontal. We're going to go with this arc. And 2 arcs down here. That's about right. So D for dimension, we're going to make this have a tight radius of 2, of course, which throws us off substantially. So I'll leave that how it is for right now. And we're going to give this guy, actually, let's just make sure we do have a tangent relation there. Okay, I'm going to have to make a new arc that just has a tighter radius, or I'm scared I'm going to run into that problem again, right? So we're going to say dimension 2, tangent. Oh, again, that was a FreeCAD hotkey. I prefer to have T for tangent instead of, I don't know, 3-point slot. I feel like the tangent relation is so much more common than a sketch tool that's like a predefined slot. So that would be my suggestion if anybody's listening on Dassault. I don't know if you can do custom hotkeys. If you can, I will post an update video, but we'll add a vertical there. All right, so there's sort of a foil profile. The last thing I need to add a horizontal so that this ends on a vertical. And we're fully defined, right? So you just go up and define surface after surface after surface. In fact, if anyone has any interest in a returning boomerang, I guess I could keep going if you'd like to follow along with my design. I have no idea if this actually returns or not, because my 3D printer is kind of worn out and I just ordered a new one. So I'm going to follow the same sketch here, and that way I can define another plane. It's that 10-degree angle that I put that made it a little bit tricky. Yeah, so my 3D printer wore out, and I'm getting a Prusa i3 next. That's on back order. About 6 weeks, I think, partially due to COVID-19. So it's going to take a long time before I get this printer, and I'd love to print out this boomerang, see if it actually comes back. But we're going to make the foils in the way that any returning boomerang would return with, so hopefully it would be a success, but I'm no boomerang expert. Great, so let's sketch on this plane. There are some problems that I've had with this interface, which I'm going to cover in the next video, and also some of the workarounds and solutions that I've found and that support has found. But this is the model that has gone to Dassault R&D to see if there's any solvable solution. We're going to go with 12 here. We're going to go with vertical here. And notice the gesture is the same between SolidWorks and 3D Experience or xDesign, that you can just make an arc by drawing a line, going back to the point, and coming back out as an arc. It's a nice feature. I'm going to go with 2 millimeters here. We're going to make sure we have a tangent relation. I can see tangent on both sides. So all we have to do is give this guy a length. And I like where he's at. Let's go with 20. I guess we do have another degree of freedom. Aha! We got to make sure this guy ends on vertical. So horizontal, good. I'm kind of excited about this Prusa i3, and I got the kind that you build yourself. I'd like to make this plane invisible, but it doesn't seem to. There's that menu I'm looking for. So I'm kind of tempted. I don't know what to do with this channel and this new 3D printer. Maybe I should go ahead and film myself building this step by step. I haven't seen really, like the 20-hour long video that the build supposedly takes, and maybe that would help some people. But that'd also be kind of a lot of work and probably boring for most people, unless you own it and are trying to follow along and have a question about building it or something. But it's probably not even that hard to build, So I don't know if I should make videos on that or just hurry and build it and then see how it runs, because it's kind of exciting to get something new like that. Let's make another plane here. We're going to say features, plane, here, here, and here. We'll create another sketch. I'm going to go horizontal, D for dimension, 12. So let me know in the comments if you have any interest in what I should do with my 3D printer in the channel, because I do enjoy 3D printing pretty casually, but I don't know if I should make it like a huge part of this channel or not. Alright, there we go. Horizontal, dimension, there we go. We want 2 millimeters there, so we have a consistent radius on both sides. We should be, yep, we're tangent at both ends, so I think we just need a dimension, and we'll have this be the same 20. That's fine. Okay, we're done drawing strange planes on that side at least. Now we're going to come here, make a sketch. Here to here, we're going to go with horizontal. So the weak points of boomerangs tend to be right in the center where we're sketching right now. So I'm making this a whole foil for several reasons. Or not even a foil, just a uniform on both ends, because we've got to transition the leading edge of the foil to be reversed on the other side, and it gives us a little bit more material as well. So we're going to make that vertical, vertical, and since we're equal, we'll have that be horizontal. So a line in here, 12, and we're done there. It'd be nice to be able to mirror it, but unfortunately boomerang foils just don't work on mirrors, so I'm going to be following up with the same madness that I have been. We're going to say features, plane, and is that plane? Oh, I forgot. You know what? Oh, because we're sketching here. Let's do a plane here, and that should still work. Yep. So I didn't actually have to make this sketch because these arcs are concentric, and so they automatically intersect the point that I want to intersect. So silly me, waste a little bit of time there, but that's alright. I'm going to select this plane, choose a sketch, and we want the leading edge of our foil to be on this side now, which is the opposite of how it was before. We're going to make this horizontal, we'll make this vertical, we'll give this a dimension of 12. You can see how much faster sketching is, even with just the D key. So if you added like horizontals and equals and all the other great stuff like what FreeCAD has, that'd be way faster at sketching still. So we're going to give that a dimension of 2. We should be tangent on both sides, so I'm going to stick with my consistent. Oh no, it was 20, wasn't it? Let's go with 20. And then we add in a horizontal down here. Very repetitive, but it's still pretty nice. This is where I need to add my extra sketch. So highlight the arc body and the tip, adding in their plane, creating a sketch on our plane. For the umpteenth time, this profile really does get repetitive. All right. So on the plane that I just hit, we'll create a sketch. Here to here. Oh, of course not. I need to add plane here to here to here. Now I can. Okay. See, it gets so repetitive when you just have to make a bunch of profiles for one thing that it's so easy to forget exactly what you're doing. It's very tricky to put the arc in the right place. I'm going to go with 12 millimeters horizontal, vertical, dimension with our typical 20. I'm going to highlight these, tangent. Go with 12, no, 2. Horizontal. And that actually updated the way that I wanted. Tangent. Fully defined. All right. Features, plane. Come on, I'm running in the correct browser. Okay, this has been stuck processing for about a half an hour. This is a problem because I haven't clicked the save button, and I might lose my data if I refresh the page. So I'm going to, I don't know how else to deal with this other than refresh the page and see what gets lost. It's interesting to note, I believe Onshape doesn't have a save button, and it just saves everything with a full history. I haven't had that experience with xDesign. This seems to be completely reliant on the save button, kind of like a desktop system in a local install. But this has been going for half an hour, and I'm just getting no sign of this changing. So I might lose all my data that I've just made. Let's see what happens. I feel like I don't have any recourse but to just refresh and hope for the best. Here we have the option to restore, so we're going to restore the Boomerang video version. And thank goodness we have, looks like pretty much all of our data back. I'm very glad, because that was some work. So let's just make this last sketch and call it a video. Except, where's my history tree? It just says Design Manager. Well, let's try to refresh this. Let's restore. There we go. Guess I just had to refresh to see that tree. So there's our sketch. Now, I guess I'm going to hurry and save this. Let's go to Features, create a plane. Here to here. I'm going to create a sketch on the plane. Alright, so we got a vertical line, and that gives us 3 points to define our plane. I think a line and a point ought to do. I understand if that wouldn't, but I'm not seeing a plane preview either. There's our plane. See, if a line is 2 points, right? Like, that's the definition of a line. So I don't fully understand why CAD platforms don't just treat a line as 2 points when you do something like this, but this has happened in multiple programs, so that's not unique to xDesign. Let's get a sketch going on this plane here. I'm going to go with horizontal, vertical, horizontal, 2 millimeters. I'd still love if that T key had tangent. I think the closest competitive option does Onshape. Ooh. Get my view back. And I believe we originally had this as a vertical relation. Let's see, we are not tangent here. And I'd sure love to hide this plane. Let's see if I can do that. I think I have to be out of the sketch to do it. Hide and edit, right? So we're going to go with tangent. 12. Done. Finally. Okay, let's call this a video, and in the next video, let's get to surfacing. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.